What is happening here with these demonstrations, with this outpouring of public sentiment, is healthy. It's one of the best things I've seen in a long time, because now the otherwise disaffected and isolated people of Central District Health are beginning to realize that the people are very close to a breaking point. They need to weigh this in their decisions. It's this sort of action taken by independent Americans that can help to keep our country free.
And I just see this as being, it was a good thing that they went to their house, I'm sure people think that that's wrong and all that stuff, you know what? But I don't think we would even seen it on the news, and nobody be talking about the lockdown, and everybody's going to be sitting there wearing their mask like a petri dish strapped around their face, and they're reinfecting bacteria into their lungs. Those are the people that are going to get sick from bacterial infections, which will lead to pneumonia, but doesn't matter. Our trusted government's going to diagnose it as COVID.
Good morning, Kevin. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm not sure I don't necessarily agree with the tactics of the people who went to Logiando's house and yelling and stuff and some of it. But one of the things they should point out is she hasn't been affected by any of this. Any of the decisions made at CDH. Here she is. She has $100,000 plus salary from the county as county commissioner, and her husband's a doctor. Even if a pediatrician isn't high-end, I'm sure he makes close to $200,000. So they're over $300,000. And they probably live in a nice house. And you could Google, you can go to the assessors and figure out what they think the assessor thinks it's worth in the county. So she hasn't been affected. And I don't know how you tell Diane, that it's hurting people greatly. 10 people here, 10 people there, maybe more at the football game. What's really important? People's lives. And one thing I was going to ask you is if we could have somebody on discuss what's happening in the foreclosures for homeowners in the county, and in the Ada County, and the also the number of evictions. It's almost malicious on their part. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that, but I do think it's malicious. It's looking for power and control. It doesn't hurt her. That's my opinion. And I think that Logiando overreacted. I don't know if a 12-year-old should be left at home alone. That's my opinion, especially if it's a timid child. And I don't think they should have really done that, but I think they should point out the hypocrisy of what these people are doing. Same way with Lauren. It doesn't hurt her. She and her husband just go merrily along. It's almost malicious on their part. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that, but I do think it's malicious. It's looking for power and control. And I don't like it. I really am tired of it. And as far as CDH, if they kept them from voting for more ridiculous restrictions, I think it's fine. Maybe I'll go next time. Stand out in the cold. Okay. And because no offense, we don't need more restrictions. I read them and they're just confusing and they don't really make sense.
We're at a time where good men's going to have to do bad things, unfortunately, and I know a lot of people are saying we can't resort to those tactics, and I'm thinking, what tactics? Those protesters made noise. They didn't burn, vandalize, or harm anybody. They grabbed attention, which is exactly what needs to happen. These politicians, elected officials, appointed people, they need to remember the place that the people are the ones that run this. And if they fear us, then we're free. If we fear them, then we're not free. And that's what I think really needs to happen. Congratulations to those people. I mean, they did the dirty work, and playing by the rules hasn't won us anything. The other side definitely doesn't play by the rules. We're already in a cold civil war, if that's what everybody wants to talk about. Fine, bullets haven't been flying yet, but it's a cultural war, and it's a cold civil war. they don't play by the rules. And if we continue to keep trying to be nice guys, we're going to lose our country. I mean, a lot of these people who disagree with that, we're on the same side. We are allies. We just we disagree on the tactics. That's all.
Well, Brian, what are your thoughts of, again, playing loud music in somebody's house? Is that okay?
Yeah, they made noise. What's the problem with that? They got that person's attention. According to that audio that I've heard, it definitely got her attention.
Well, I don't necessarily condone people protesting at people's houses. It feels like the media and everyone just ignores all of the opinions of the other group, and that's almost what you have to do to get noticed. But my bigger point is with all the hoopla about the protesting at the houses, where was all that same hoopla back in August at the Commissioner Elaine Clegg's house and some of the other ones who voted to allocate more money for the police department? There were people protesting outside their homes, and I didn't hear all that hoopla about that.
I don't agree with banging on people's doors, but I do think that the reason that Trump has been so popular and that we all love him is because he is a fighter, and he's not willing to be the polite, what conservatives are supposed to be is just take it, be nice, niceness will win the day. Well, I think we've seen that it doesn't win the day. And I will tell you, I moved here a year ago from Seattle. I lived 47 years there and watched it go down the tubes. And if the people of Idaho don't stand up and fight, just as Charlie Kirk sounded the alarm for us, we will lose this state. We already have a governor who doesn't fight for us. He's been the biggest disappointment of my move here. And I think when people are showing up in neighborhoods, they're saying, you're not listening, you're not hearing us. And so if that's the case, then people are going to show up, and there are consequences for the choices that you make when you're in a leadership position.
I don't know what the devil of today's issue is. I've been getting up in the morning at the crack of dawn, turning on your radio show every day for the last year. And the common drumbeat is, we got to do something. We got to do something. We're going to lose the state. We're going to lose the country. We got to do something. So what do? We march. They ignore us. We write. They ignore us. We call. They ignore us. We finally found something that actually gets an actual honest-to-God result. They pay attention. Has anybody been damaged? No. Has there been any fires, rioting, looting, stealing, real violence? No. This is simply a reminder to our political masters that yes, we do have an input, and yes, we do know where you live. That's not a threat. That's a simple reality. People can't keep doing things to us and expecting zero consequences. And I'll leave it at that, sir.
And I understand why people went and protested at her house, because you got to get a point across, and if you don't get a point across to these people, maybe it's time to take it to their house, because let's face it, they're taking it right to our home by shutting down businesses, by setting up a snitch line, by making everybody wonder. It just pins everybody against everybody, and it's really pretty scary. So, I think that when the real hardworking American people get really tired of this and they walk out into the streets, people bet, the government is going to get the message. And eventually that's what it's probably going to happen, I hope.
The Founding Fathers, when they protested, they would take dummies and hang them from nooses and take coffins and put the names of their tax collectors on them and parade them around the town and around their houses. So how is this any different? You can take the tax collector's name and insert your governor, your mayor, whoever, your health district representative. And that was the Founding Fathers' idea of a protest right there. So I think we're right in step with what they would have done were they alive today.
Wasn't there a case about people going to some Republican person's house and yelling and screaming, and that was a peaceful protest? And now because our side goes to these people's house, they all faint and they all cry like babies, and they all fill their pants because we are the barbarians. I don't know that anything was burned or looted last night. I don't know that the rocks were thrown at windows. I don't know that anything of that happened. But they're treating this as if it was a hooligans, as if it was Black Lives Matter and Antifa. But when Black Lives Matter and Antifa do all the problem, they have put people practically in the street because they burned their businesses to the ground. Oh, that was all peaceful. And don't you dare criticize them. But when our sides want our rights redressed, my goodness, lock them up. Oh, dear, everybody died. Everybody cried. You know what, Kevin, I'm tired. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I am tired. And I am going to call. And if I have to call, I'm sorry, this is not a threat. It's a warning. I'm going to call every day.
And someone said earlier that called in, this is Idaho. We don't do that in Idaho about going to people's homes. Or you know what else we don't do in Idaho? We don't make public health orders that scare citizens into wearing masks because they might get arrested and they might have jail time and their business might get shut down. It's just out of control. And these people need to stop. It's our freedom that's on the line. And the person, a few called back saying that the numbers are skewed. He's absolutely right. Johns Hopkins University put out an article talking about how the numbers for heart disease and all these other different causes of death weren't as high this year because they're being called COVID deaths. And the death rate this year is actually less than it was last year. And that's the problem. They're lying to us. They're telling us masks work. Well, some people don't think they work, and those people have a right to not wear masks. And there's a lot of people with medical conditions who cannot wear a mask, and there is hardly any room for them. It's out of control, and it's true that if they're able to meet in their homes over some Zoom meeting, then we can go to their homes. And nobody was hurting anybody. I didn't go to anybody's home. I don't know if I personally feel okay with that. Maybe next time, if they don't listen and they don't cancel this order, I don't know.
I believe that the people last night were fighting for their rights and for their freedom. Yeah, and I don't believe it's just the mask. Next it'll be the COVID vaccine, and then next it'll be something else that they're fighting for this freedom. When the colonists fought for their freedom, they didn't draw up a set of rules such as don't bother the British rulers by not going to their homes. They were fighting for freedom. Doing this, what they did last night might be what is needed to be heard. I don't think I would have gone to their homes, but I don't necessarily disagree with it. I've spoken to legislative committees about different issues, and I have found it very obvious that they had decided before the meeting how they were voted, totally marginalizing the people that were speaking against the particular issue. I've gone to the county commissioners' meetings in Boise speaking on 5G with many professionals that have data to show that 5G into Boise is dangerous for health reasons and goes against the principles that the county has set up to support the people in Boise. And I saw at these meetings, all except for Verizon people, 100% of the people were against it, and yet the commissioners voted for it. The people in our leadership are not listening to the people. Something else has to be done in order to get them to wake up. Maybe this is a new tactic, but what is felt by some that is needed, and I'm beginning to think maybe it is, because just going to the meetings to speak, they can just decide to do whatever they darn well feel like.
I wish that we weren't at the point that people went to the house. Now, from what I understand, I had a friend that posted, I didn't get to watch the video, but she said, look, they weren't banging on her house. They did have some pots. I don't know why they went there if they knew she was at the meeting. I'm not sure the thinking on that. But you know what? When you push people to the point that they're going to lose their livelihoods over a fake pandemic, over a virus that 99.8% of people survive, with faulty testing, with people making millions of dollars in testing, that are willing to come on your program and lie to the people and say the ICU is full when it isn't. When you see them spending $7.2 million to track and trace a healthy population, but do nothing to expand hospital beds so that if we did have a surge, we actually might be able to meet that capacity so we can open our economies and live like a free nation, there's a problem. And I think the good thing about this is it's rolling your head that Tommy Alquist was placed as a plant to run against Brad Little so they could split the vote so that Raul Labrador wouldn't take office, because they're about the most closest communist rhinos I have ever seen.
I thought that was great, that protest last night in Boise, and hey, fight fire with fire, you know. I think it's great they went by that commie mayor's house and stuff, but...
Looking back to the kook fanatic fascist mayor of Seattle this summer with all of the Antifa, ISIS, Nazi terrorists, they showed up. Oh, and magically, that's right, they took over the city, but when they showed up in front of her house, within hours, they were shut down. Do you see how this works?
Was it Thomas Jefferson who said when the government fears the people, there's liberty? When the people fear the government, there's tyranny? I applaud the people who protested, the tyrants who wish to strip us of our freedom. And one of the main agendas in this whole thing is to force vaccinate us. Vaccines are very dangerous. I worked in healthcare for 30 years, and I know this is a repeat of the H1N1.
All right, there's two kinds of people. There's people that use their free will and free agency to decide what's right, and then there's people that are afraid to make a decision. They don't follow their conscience, and they follow expertise, the science, the government, whatever, and that's the problem, and it's Christ versus Antichrist. And by the way, Jesus did not get crucified for just being a mild pusher guy that can you just push him around anywhere. He got crucified because he was really going against the establishment. And if you use your free will and agency to go against the establishment, you're going to have problems. But we need to do that. So God bless you.